Good evening, everyone. I am very happy to be here tonight. Bristol feels great in July. I am here to tell you about Tony's story. And to begin from the beginning, I have decided to start from his birth. Well, halfway through his birth. I am crawling out of what I believe to be the perfect metaphor of Tony's mother's vagina. And although birth is a pretty epic part in everyone's life, tonight I chose it as a mere transition. I will be the narrator of this story, and sometimes I will also be Tony. And some other times, I will be something in between that will definitely contribute to confuse you. We meet Tony now, who's a 3-year-old. Tony's good at being happy, being happy, being happy. Good at being happy. We don't say happy. He likes to draw on the floor with a pink chalk. And given that the first thing that defines the world are the words that you choose to describe it, Tony began really early to ask himself questions such as, boy or girl, right or wrong, normal or abnormal. Four, 5, 6-year-old. Tony continues to grow, and with him, a seed. We meet him again as an 8-year-old. It's Sunday, and he's at church with his dad and his granddad, who is blind. His granddad gives him the 10 euros to give in offer to the priest, but Tony, for the first time, doesn't do what he's told. Right or wrong, sacred or profane, loyal or disloyal. It's night, and Tony at night is still scared of the dark. He moves his bed next to one of his sisters in order to feel protected. Tony, it's 7 o'clock, you gotta go to school. Tony, you awake? Tony, did you get ahead with your math homework? No.
Tony, but if everybody else at school can do it, you can do it too, right? You're not stupid. No, I'm not stupid.
Tony continues to grow. And with him, that seed, that from seed grows into a sapling, from a sapling into a tree, the rotten tree of inadequacy. We meet him again as a 13-year-old, and Tony doesn't let me hug it. But it's all right, Tony. I'm not going to have you relax. Tony falls in love for the first time. He falls in love with someone that takes his heart and throws it away. Takes his heart and throws it away. Takes his heart and throws it away. For the first time, Tony realizes that he feels. This time he feels pain. And he loses his words. Oh, come on, Tony. You gotta move on. Time heals all wounds, and there are plenty more fish in the sea. Ding dong, narrator's note. I wonder if Tony would have received, God knows, maybe at school, a little bit of education about sexual or emotions. Maybe he wouldn't have lost his words, and maybe he would have found ways to communicate what he was actually feeling. And maybe he wouldn't have allowed anybody to say such nonsensical things in an obvious time of sadness. We don't move on, we move with. Tony's gentle and kind. Yeah. But we still have a whole lot of questions and very few answers.
Tony starts looking for less judgment and more chaos. Yeah, less judgment and more chaos. Yes, we find them in front of huge walls of speakers. Inside vortical spirals. Tony! I've ingested a phenomenal dose of venom. 3 times blessed must be the advice that I got from it.
Tony, who'd you like? And why'd you like them? Where'd you like them? Right or wrong? Tony, who'd you like? And why'd you like them? And how'd you like them? And when did you like them? Sacred or profane? Tony, who'd you like and why'd you like them? How'd you like them? Where'd you like them? Normal or abnormal? Tony, who'd you like? Where'd you like them? How'd you like them? And where'd you like them? When did you like them? What, how? When, how? Boy or girl? Stop! It's a complicated world in which to grow for a young person. A world that requires us to be one thing, one version, one box, one personality, one highly functional human being that confines itself, himself, themselves, herself into one defined thing. Tony's lucky though. He finds someone that listens, not in order to answer, but to simply listen. Rare cases. Tony finds books that have never been mentioned at school. He finds refuge and comfort in definitions of a much wider world. Intersectionality. The whole world of poetry. He quickly realizes that way too often men cherish power over someone. And that again, way too often, the price of human lives is often the one of petrol, and that everything seems to be pushed forward by a bunch of clowns that play risical. Tony's 21, and he's extremely angry. How to blame him? He knows he's a man, a white man, and therefore inevitably privileged. He also knows that there's a war going on inside of him. A war he can't define, a war he can't describe. But he knows that when he can't keep it down, it's somewhat paralyzing. There's an echo that comes from the bottom of the trunk of that rotten tree. Poor Tommy. The world is on fire. Women, kids, and entire ecosystems, entire populations are being wiped away, and you feel paralyzed. Poor you, Tony. No, seriously. Poor you. He remembers that kid that used to be good at being happy, good at being happy, good at being happy. We don't say happy. Yes, we do! Tony realizes that he needs to become good at asking for help. Asking for help. Asking for help. You better ask for help, Tony. It's alright. Tony believes to be at a crossroad. Shit. Tony believes to be at a point in his life in which he needs to become good at dealing with everything. Everything what? Everything. He believes to have 2 options. 2 options, 2.5 options, 3 options, 4 options, none! And although Tony believes to have nothing, he decides to take a leap into the unknown. He decides to become his own boss. He decides to start a freelance career. He decides that it's time to take responsibility for his own choices. Choices. And one day, he feels overwhelmed again, but he remembers that he wanted to become good at asking for help. Asking for help. While he takes care of himself, Tony realizes that in the best case scenario, and without losing track of ourselves, when we help others, help others, we find the meaning of strength, love, and empathy. Bravo, Tony. Wow. Right. But what do you want? Let's bring the conversation back to you. Tony begins to do a million things. He starts being part of every possible movement. He blocks roads, bridges, entire factories. Oh, Tony. He helps everybody there. He can help animals, people, it doesn't matter. He helps the migrants. He goes into community service. He does all the community projects. Everything you can imagine.
bank and he's screaming, "Stop giving money to wolves!" Tony, oh God. He keeps doing it and no one knows where he is because he's gotta hide, because he's a terrorist, he's dangerous. And where does he go? What does he do? It's crazy. He doesn't know how he can help others. Until one day, a big ship approaches the port of his little town, and on the side of the ship is written, "Sea Shepherd." Huh? Sea Shepherd. Ding dong. Narrator's note. I know that we're in Bristol, and that everybody knows what Sea Shepherd is. But if you don't know what Sea Shepherd is, tonight when you go home, you're going to Google Sea Shepherd. And given that here is not about expanding the horizons of empathy, Tony gets on the Sea Shepherd, and he goes to the North Pole, and to the South Pole, and he goes out to help the whales, because there is no more plankton they can eat. And he goes south to help the penguins, because there is no more ice to be a penguin on. Where else does he go? He keeps going, you know? He goes to Denmark, to the Faroe Islands, where they slaughter tiny whales and dolphins for a ritual of passage between boyhood and manhood. Machismo must die! Yes, I said it. Where else does he go? What else does he do? Tony. No one knows where he is. It's crazy. He goes to China to try and stop those vessels. They're coming. To try and stop those vessels that scrape the bottom of the ocean, killing everything they find and more. It happens in Italy as well, by the way. Tony is 36. Shut. And it's during one of those nights on the ship that Tony realizes that he misses something. It feels like a snowfall in his chest. It feels like a void. Tony misses love. Tony misses that kind of love that gives you Tony misses that kind of love that makes you feel Tony misses that kind of love that is cold. Ding dong. Listen, Tony, I get it. But love arrives when you least expect it. And you never know what's around the corner.